안녕하세요. Junon Chip입니다. Hey, this is Chip with the Koenig Sports Cycle Motovlog. Hey, I guess you're probably wondering, hey, what the heck are you talking Korean this morning? Hey, guess what? I'm riding a Korean motorcycle. This is the Hyosung GT650. Now I say Hyosung. I know that it's when you see it written out, it looks like Hyosung, but it's actually Hyosung. Now, this little motorcycle is actually pretty cool. I just picked it up, having to downsize some things in my life right now, and it's going to fit my budget, but it is also a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to listen to like Ducati motors. That V-twin sound that they make is pretty darn awesome. This has a very similar sound. Of course, you know, it doesn't have quite the build quality of the exotic parts that the Ducati has, but you know, it has that very Italian look to it, even though it's very Korean. It has, you know, it handles really well. As you can see, it tips in real nice and easy. You know, one of the things that these things get poor marks on is braking. You know, as far as sport bikes go, it's really not the best as far as braking that I've experienced. But not bad either. I mean, I've ridden a lot of high-end cruisers and, you know, regular street bikes that, you know, the braking wasn't quite as good on as it is on this. I'll tell you one area where this bike really excels is engine braking. Here, let me roll off throttle here. When you roll off throttle on this thing, it pulls you right down. So engine braking is pretty superior on there. So, you know, having you know, the best brakes in the world, well, you know, there's some upgrades available. They recommend the you know, the sintered brake pads with the braided lines that help considerably. The other thing that they talk about on these bikes, that you know, a lot of the fittings, the bike, as far as the hardware on the bike, you know, the bolts and so forth, have a tendency to rust. I can kind of confirm that. You know, it's got a little bit of rust scale on the bike. Not horrible. Overall, the bike's fit and finish is pretty good, but but I can verify that, you know, the other thing that it gets bad, you know, marks on is the fittings being prone to rust. I would imagine a trip to the local hardware store, some stainless steel hardware bolts will fix that up with no problem. But the good things about the bike is, man, this thing really handles great. It has a nice light feel to it. You know, it's very flickable. Has an incredibly usable power band. You know, it's got really good, strong mid-range. I like that. You know, a bike that's you know, used primarily for street use. You know, it's kind of handy to have a bike that will handle that way. With the you know, that mid-range power. You know, coming off of a corner, you know, you want to be able to pull away nice, and you know, rolling into a tight turn, you want to be able to roll off throttle and have the engine brake for you. You know, just pull you down to some more manageable speeds, and this bike does that quite nicely. So it's is it the best bike that I've ever been on? No, but it is. I would have to say it earns high marks for being one of the most fun bikes I've ever been on. It's a very confident, inspiring bike. You know, you feel like you can do a lot more than you probably really can on it, but so I'm going to be cautious for a while until I get used to the new ride. But it's definitely confidence inspiring as far as the handling and performance of the bike. Again, I would say the key word about this bike is fun. You know, it's not overly fast. It's not going to scare the daylights out of you by any means, but it's got enough power that gets you up to speed quickly. You can get up against that rev limiter. I found out earlier I was doing a little speed run, which I'll probably share that little clip with you. Just do an acceleration run to see how it does. I got up against the rev limiter pretty quickly. Didn't expect that. Wasn't paying attention to the tach, but it, you know, it gets there pretty quickly. And you know, had a nice sound. You know, these things on acceleration sound really nice. So hey, listen, I just want to give a shout out to my friend John who helped me get this bike. He was selling it, was worked with me to help it to become affordable. So thanks, John. Appreciate that very much. But you know, again, it's a good bike. I got a good price. You know, lots of times you get a kind of an off-brand bike people aren't familiar with. You know, it's hard to get the money you're asking for them, and it's you know, people unless you're familiar with the product. Now, in you know, Australia, India, you know, the Hyosung products are really, really popular. In the United States, you know, it really hasn't taken off yet. It's kind of a shame, you know. Again, this is a, you know, really quality made bike for the price that they charge. You know, you can get into a Hyosung 250 GT-R or a GT650R for, you know, really reasonable money, new or used. So, you know, as far as a bargain goes, you know, hey, they're great bikes. Again, it's never going to compete with the quality of a, you know, it's designed to have a look and feel of an exotic Italian motorcycle. You know, it's not really going to compete on that level, but it is about as good looking. And the sound, I mean, the sound these things makes are just pretty incredible. Definitely sounds like an exotic Italian machine. But like I said, you know, it doesn't have Brembo brakes. It doesn't have, you know, Olin suspension or anything like that. Although it's pretty competent. You know, I've heard people say that, you know, they get pretty compliant when you change the fork oil. You know, put a little thicker oil in there, makes them a little bit, you know, more manageable. I may consider that. Although this, I got to be honest with you, this thing's handling really nicely. It's been a lot of fun, and this is one of my favorite rides out through Wendover. It's you know, a lot of twisties one after the other. Makes for a lot of fun on a bike like this. So you know, overall, I'm gonna give the bike high marks in the fun factor. I think that again, the modifications you can make to the brakes, replace some of the hardware on the bike, will bring it up to spec with most of the Japanese bikes. Which I've had plenty of. Hope you can hear the sound of the engine. I'm not sure the microphone's picking that all up, but hopefully it is. But as you can hear, this thing is sweet music. Gotta be careful though, it does get up to speed quicker than you expect, or you don't. It's a typical sport bike. It's, you know, when you get up to, you know, well above the speed limit, you don't feel like it, so you gotta kind of watch yourself. It does have a very aggressive riding position. I am going to be making some changes to that. I'm going to be moving the clip-ons above the triple tree to kind of not have that long reach down the clip-ons. Going to lower the rear a little bit just to make it a little bit more comfortable for those long rides to Orlando every day. Hey, I'm almost home, guys. Just wanted to check in and say goodbye. So, annyeong gi, gaseo. Talk to you real soon. Bye.